Hi guys, once again I'm back with another daily exercise video. This time around I am doing lower body, and I've done this in the past where I try to warm up with my ankles and my stability, as it is quite important for me to be very stable under whatever load I'm doing. So today was actually a deadlift day and a couple of other exercises. But my warm-up routine lasted for more than 5 minutes. Just in the recording, it's around 5 minutes, a little bit more. However, in practice, maybe around, I think around 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe something there. But it is always very important to have a very solid warm-up. So yeah, this is something I would advise you to do. It's really good, keeping like a minute per leg and prohibiting yourself from falling over. Of course, you have to activate your glutes, activate your core, and you can of course use your hands and your free leg for balance. And I think balancing in shoes is a lot more difficult than having no shoes. So being barefoot, it's a lot easier. But this is really important to activate the muscles in a certain way to make sure that you have proper stability going throughout. Also with my deadlift days, I have become a bit more focused on a proper warm-up so that my knees, ankles, my joints, hips, glutes, everything must be properly activated and loose to ensure that there is a very low chance of injury. Of course, if you do exercise, not everything will ever be perfect, but you can try to become near perfect with it. So next I went around to just do some walking lunges, and yes, I am doing a little bit wider stance as I'm going through the motion. It just helps to stay more stable, and my torso is also kept up quite upright. And I'm just doing a normal stride, so it's a lot more in my quads and a lot less in my glutes and hamstrings. And this is just basically to warm up the knee, as it is a bending motion, and therefore the knee gets used to having some load on it while performing an actual movement. Here I went around to do the cat-cow. Some people call it something different. So what I've been doing a bit different here is keeping my core a bit tight, or tighter than usual, and trying to just focus on my back. And it's still quite rounded, and my mid back of course has bigger problems, and I would like it to be better, so therefore I am continuously doing different movements and exercises to try and better that. I am in the progress of doing like a foam roll each evening and morning, where I put the foam roller in my mid-thoracic spine, and then I would keep my hips and my glutes on the ground firmly placed with my legs just straight forward, and then I would try and keep my head on the ground as well, of course, while my glutes are still touching the ground. And it can be a further stretch if I tuck my head into my torso, so my chin basically trying to touch my torso. It really helps to get a better stretch when I'm on the foam roller, but that will come out in a later video. So here, of course, this is also then warming up the spine and rotational exercise. It also helps to loosen up the glutes a little bit. This, of course, is hamstrings, and as you can see, I'm not doing a static stretch, rather a couple of shorter stretches just to get the muscles a bit looser than what they should be to perform comfortably without having the risk of injury. So as you can see here, as I'm going down, my mid-thoracic spine is still a bit bulged there, and it shouldn't be as hunched. So I definitely need to improve that and just bend through my hips more than actually bending through my back as well. But looking at this, my back when I'm going down should be a lot straighter. I mean, it's really so rounded. It really isn't good. So I should be bringing my chest up a lot more to ensure that my back stays straight. And I shouldn't have to go down that low, basically keeping it 90 degrees to my knee, to my lower legs, is more than enough to get the sufficient move and stretch in. Right, so as mentioned, it's a deadlift day today, and I started out with sumo as well as conventional. But I have to admit, I haven't done sumo in a long time, and due to that, my form is disgusting. Just look at that. It's really terrible. My lower back and everything is not being activated and stiffened the way it should be. So yeah, after every sumo deadlift, I immediately jumped into doing conventional. And once again here, it's not perfect, but this is much better than my sumo lift. And what I'm trying to do here as well is to really see if I can activate my glutes and hamstrings a lot more than before by doing a tiny pause. So basically just where my socks end, that's where the pause should be. So basically just lifting the bar off the ground without having too much like hip flare. Like right there, just pause and then pull. It's then more of a, let's think of it as a glute bridge exercise, where you just hinge through your hips and you activate your glutes or keep them activated throughout the movement. Also, of course, it's important to keep your core extremely tight, keep your back straight as well. Or if you can't keep your back straight, keep it from moving when you're doing the movement. Because if your back is moving under load, then you are risking an injury. Here I need to try and see if I can drop my bum a bit more to get into a bit more of a squat position when doing conventional. But I feel that I've never been able to do that with conventional lifting, and that's why I've given sumo a try. But it might also be a thing due to flexibility that I don't have the sufficient range of motion to get into the hole and then pull out. Right, so as I don't want deadlift to become a grip exercise, it is advisable to pull out the straps and see what you can do. But here I can see that even on the weight of, this is what, 140 kilos, I am using my legs a lot less. And I think I should go watch a couple of videos on how some guys do sumo deadlifts, where their feet are placed and where they start pulling from. Because for me it seems like my hips are shooting up quite fast, and then it's an entire hinge. So I want to try and of course use my legs a lot more, and then as I'm basically lifting the weight with my legs, then hinge through it. But the weight still went up pretty easily, I would say. But with not deadlifting as regular as in the past I literally deadlifted probably 3 times a week. Here it has become maybe once every 2-3 weeks. So now it is time to really change that again and see if I can do some strength training again, because I love to do compound moves like this, where of course it's a bit of an ego bump as well when you know you can like lift heavy weights. It's not that it's always needed in your life, but it's good for your body to see what are you capable of. So right there on 180, my bum just shoots up. Let's see what happens on the conventional lift. Not bad, but my arms could have been a bit straighter, definitely. I think if I do things like that, there's going to be a lot more tension in my biceps, which I don't want. So I should also learn to keep my arms a tad bit straighter, but it's not horrendous. Then I went over to elevated heels and doing stiff leg deadlifts. I don't know if you call these Romanian deadlifts or if that is what they are supposed to be called. But you can see it's not a heavy weight, it's just to get that contraction onto my hamstrings. And of course it's important to keep your core again tight and not lift through your lower back, because if you feel your lower back is hurting or it has a pump after this exercise, you know that you are really bending or arching your lower back way too much, whereas this move should be happening throughout your hamstrings as well as your glutes. And another thing to notice is that the bar does not have to go and touch the ground. As soon as you feel that stretch in your hamstring, that is where you will be able to then lift the weight back up again. You don't have to try and overextend it, because that's not always necessary. Just get the stretch in. Of course your legs can be bent a bit, as mine is over here, so I suppose it's then therefore a bit more of a Romanian deadlift. Now another thing, guys, if you use weights, be the nice guy and put your shit back. It's really just being considerate to other people who also want to use the equipment and the weights. If you're the one picking up the weights, just take that extra minute and deload the weight, put it back where you found it, because I'm pretty sure when you are going to exercise, you don't want to go and have a look around everywhere to find the things that you want to use. It's really frustrating and annoying for everyone. So yeah, be considerate to others and just place your things back whenever you're done. Then afterwards I went to do some sled pushes. The first one is just being slow and controlled, of course keeping a straight and tight torso, mid and core. And of course this is a lot of, I would say, glute and quad focus, and a bit of hit as well, because you're pushing the weight, and then for your example I'm running back, so a bit at a faster pace. And I only did two sets of this, because I would say I was pretty exhausted by the end of this second exercise, or the second set, as this one is a lot slower. as I added another 20 kilos on there, so now on the sled is 60 kilos. I have no idea how much the sled weighs, but it doesn't really matter to me that much, as long as I can see every time when I'm doing something it's pushing me. So that's another thing. Also try and keep an exercise log with what you're doing. If you don't know what the weights are that you're pushing, you really have no idea where to continue from where you left off. For me, I of course use these videos to keep track of things, but I haven't actually made any notes within a notebook, and I need to do that as well. So yeah, it's not that I don't know what to do, but I definitely can stay on top of the weights that I'm doing. Right guys, if you enjoyed watching this was now day 7 of the daily exercises. I hope you enjoyed, and if you got some value from it, don't be shy to drop a like or a comment down below, and I'll be sure to get back to each and every one of you. Right guys, have a good one. See you in the next one. Bye bye.